Welcome, adventurers of the mortal realms, to an Age of Sigmar video where we are going to talk about the reveals for Age of Sigmar from Adepticon, and we'll go through the different details that were revealed. Now, we didn't get any 4th edition models revealed, and maybe that's in part because they didn't want to take away any of the shine from the other models that are going to be filling time until that point, including a new Dawnbringer's book and set of models. And I can kind of understand that, but I also think they probably should have shown some 4th edition models from the launch box to keep people happy, but that's okay. So let's take a look. We've got dwarves, and then now hold on. The dwarves are old world, but we know that those could be used for Cities of Sigmar, which are super hard to find. But we also have the Slaves to Darkness. We have some new Death faction stuff and much more. So let's get into it. So this was my first ever Adepticon that I've watched because I just got into the hobby last summer. So it was pretty exciting for me personally. I saw that the Twitch chat wasn't particularly stoked about a lot of stuff, but I think there was some really cool things revealed, specifically Abraxia, Spear of the Everchosen. So this is a new general in the Slaves to Darkness army. And now this is somebody that was born in the 8 points in this realm, or kind of like sub-realm, completely dominated by chaos, except for one realm gate, which the Ossiarch Bonereapers have taken. And she grew up in the fighting pits, just developing her skills, and was eventually noticed by Aqshy, who is testing her by putting her in charge of some elite forces and setting her up to take on some really difficult tasks, including wielding a cursed spear, which will mutate anybody that it touches, but also will mutate the user if they lose their focus, which is a very cool, lore thing that is happening here. So here she is. This is Abraxia, and so she has horns, and part of that is because she let her spear, the Spear of the Everchosen, actually affect her. So there's a lot of really cool lore about her that we're going to get more information in the book 6 Dawnbringers. I really want to read the lore of the Dawnbringers book, but I don't want to spend a bunch of money on a bunch of hard copy books. So I need to, I guess, go and find that information elsewhere. But it's really cool. This model is absolutely beautiful. We've got this super cool Spear of the Everchosen. Her armor is amazing, matches the beast that she is riding here. We can see some different looks down here. It's actually hard to tell in the model that she is a woman or just really like any gender at all. It's just like a bald demon. But when you look at the trailer reveal, there are some aspects that very much look like a female warrior. Okay, so she's going to be coming with some elite warriors here. We can see that she is going to get her own box, which is going to be the Abraxia model and the Verdigris, which are the 3 mounted warriors around her. So this is all going to be available when the Dawnbringer 6 comes out. She's going to be setting her eyes on the newly founded city of Verdigris in Gairan, determined to turn Hammerhall's success into a display of futility. And remember, she has to do this to impress Aqshy. So she gets to ride with the reality-shattering Verdigris by her side, and Abraxia's Varen Spear box will be your first chance to get a hold of this ferocious champion. She's going to have her own army of renown, the Swords of Chaos, which will set her amongst a full army of Verdigris, an avalanche of blackened steel, clawed hooves, and devastating power. So there's more information on the stream if you want to go check it out. We also have the Nexus. This is the Nexus Chaotica. So this is a shrine that draws upon the magical energy to feed demons bound within, allowing them to fuel dark sorcery or project pulses of mutative power. And so this is going to tie in into the Dark Oath story. And so again, this is something that I'm still learning about, so I'm not going to comment on too much here, but we know amazing models on their way. The next thing that we have is the Underworld reveal. And so these models will get some Age of Sigmar adaptation rules at some point, and there's some really cool stuff in here. So this is the Winter Maw box. It comes with literally everything that you need to play Underworlds. I've never played Underworlds, so I don't have any sort of information for you there. But if you wanted to get into it, obviously this would be an option. And what better option than some really, really cool models from two of the most popular factions, Cities of Sigmar, although it's not technically confirmed anywhere in this article. These are models that are from the cult Embergard, and they are all, I guess, cultists that have been zapped by the lightning of a Stormcast Eternal when they die, and so they have magical powers from there. And we have this top model here is actually, it's a person, and they're riding the shoulders of their son there. Really cool aesthetic. They've just got these basically lightning rods that are attached to each of them at some point. And so this is the Brethren of the Bolt, a fanatical sect of the cult Embergard, who worship Sigmar in his aspect as the master of Azir's divine lightning. Each felt the undeniable call to holy action when struck by a bolt of lightning, or scorched by the energy of a departing Stormcast Eternal. Well, maybe not a dead one then, just one that left. I guess they use their lightning to go away. So the other members of their cult steer clear of them because they're freaking crazy, and they are led into the Winter Maw by Pater Filius, who rides into battle atop his son's charred and bandaged shoulders, galvanizing his followers with crackling arcs of electricity. So this will be a little unit for Cities of Sigmar. Depending on the rules, I am very much excited for them. And then we have Flesh Eater Court models, and of course they always have really fun lore. So facing off against these zealots is an equally cracked cadre of court banqueteers who range far and wide to find the most succulent delicacies for the royal feast. The obsessive ambitions of the Skinnerkin even keep them from taking more than a delicate nibble of those they butcher with rusting meat hooks and chipped cleavers. After all, such perfect cuts must be conserved for tables at the new summer court. So Gristla Tenderhook commands this particular group of slaughtermen. A harsh taskmaster, she demands her followers secure only the finest morsels. And what better source than the exotic corpses preserved by the ice of the Winter Maw, or the muscular warriors brave enough to weather its depths. So we've got some different models here. They're all basically Red Seal chefs, right? Each of them, in noble service to their court, looking to provide the top quality banqueting ingredients. We then have a new Warcry box that's going to be coming out, and it is going to be the Ossiarch Bonereapers versus the Sylvaneth, and it is called Briar and Bone. So after long months punctuated by bouts of bloody conflict, the warbands cutting their way through the Ravening Rune have set their eyes on the final prize, the wrecked Seraphon temple ship. Talaxis is near, but the heart of the Gnarlwood is a tangled mess of ravenous beasts and lethal plant life, giving rise to great swamps overflowing with corpses. Talaxis will not give up its treasures easily. So we have some new stuff that we have to talk about here, new warbands, and they're going to be really, really cool models specifically. So specifically for the death side of things, we have the Terratic cohorts to secure relics, slay rivals, and collect a tidy tithe of bones in the process. So we have some models that we can look at here that look, these are the ones that we had already teased. We knew that these were coming, and there's just some really cool bone constructs here. Really nice spears that won't be helpful in 4th edition. But Ossiarch Bonereapers, I've heard that they're kind of difficult to play, but if I went to the death faction, I feel like Ossiarch or Flesh Eater Courts would be really vying for my attention. But these look really, really cool. We also have some Sylvaneth models, which of course are going to be coming to Age of Sigmar as well. This one right here with the honey bees up there, and then these flies doing this circle, or bees, I guess, sorry, bees doing this circle through the staff around the back. This is one of the most beautiful models I've ever seen, and it's absolutely horrifying but we also have some classic Sylvaneth looking models with bows, with swords, with spears, with vine whips and big vine claws, and some more treant type models. All very Sylvaneth, all very, very cool. I don't know if I want to buy a Warcry box that doesn't have any of my factions in it, but I have to say, if I had to buy a box, this one is the one that's piqued my interest more than any other box, just because of how good the models actually look. So you get these two Warbound bands. You also get a Ravening Gnarl Oak. This is a carnivorous tree, which has long since abandoned its subtlety in its eagerness to feast on flesh, roaming the gnarlwood on powerful gnarled limbs. And you can see that it just has this big maw. Like, it wants to eat you, no problem. It also has a tome, so Briar of Bone, which has lore, illustrations, rules, and quests, background tables, shared campaign arc, and a new battle plan generator. So this is a really cool box. I think I'm definitely going to consider this one, although I have to keep on a budget or my wife will get at me. Last but not least, we got an old world preview for the Dwarven Mountain Holds, and you're probably thinking, Mysidia, what are you doing? This is an Age of Sigmar, and I understand that, but I am a Cities of Sigmar player, and recently I got super into the idea of playing with dwarves. And so I went online and I started looking for some dwarves, and I couldn't find them anywhere. So I went on eBay, I went on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, and I cannot find any dwarves anywhere, no matter what. And I think it's because so many people wanted them for the old world, and so now we have a chance to buy dwarves and to play them in Cities of Sigmar. So we have a big regiment box, which is going to come with a whole lot of dwarves. We can see that there's going to be 4 different big units, and then you can have a gyrocopter or bomber. Basically, those two gyrocopter-esque things could be built either way. They could be built as a copter, they could be built as a bomber. So if you rebased these for Cities of Sigmar, you'd be in business. So the battalion box has 66 miniatures, 32 dwarf warriors, 32 quarrelers, which could be built as thunderers, and then 2 gyrocopters. And so what I'm really curious about is how you could build all of these dwarves. I'm wondering, I know that there's other models that are coming out individually, but what I would like to do is build some of the more melee dwarves. So your Longbeards, and I'm forgetting the name right now, Iron Breakers. I'd like to build some Iron Breakers. There's some really cool things here. So for example, we can see this. So we have this new Dwarf Lord who comes born aloft of shield bearers. Like, honestly, insane miniature. It looks so good. So I wouldn't necessarily grab that, but this one here, so this is a dwarf thane with a, oh no, so that's not a dwarf thane. Down below, this is just still a dwarf lord. That I would maybe use as a warden king. I think that would be really cool. Now it's actually kind of funny because warden kings and rune lords are the models that are still kind of available. It's all the infantry that you can't find anywhere, like the Iron Drakes and all the other ones. But this is still just such a cool little miniature. There's tons of different options here. If you want to customize or custom build some dwarves, you have a lot of different ways that you can do it. You can see all the different, because like here they have their weapons and their shields. They have just their two-handed axes, which are the 2 ways you can build some of your models for Cities of Sigmar. We have some gunners, more, and some crossbowmen. But if we go a little bit further, you can see here is basically the classic design of your Iron Drakes as well. So you have those options. For the hammerers, we have the shield and hammer options there. And then the more aggressive, you know, great hammers or mauls or whatever. So there's so many different dwarf builds here. I'm very interested to see what the individual prices and boxes look like, because, and well, here's the thing though, is because now that we know about 4th edition, we don't know what those new war scrolls are going to look like. So there's always a risk if you decide now's the time to get my Cities of Sigmar dwarf models. But for me, it's more about the rule of cool. So as long as they don't take dwarves out of Cities of Sigmar, I think I'm pretty excited to be able to get into it. Okay, so that's it for the previews. There were some 40K stuff as well that got previewed, but I don't have any 40K information to share. I've never played it or really looked into it, so I just skipped those and kept it to our high fantasy realms. And so hopefully you're okay with that. If this video was interesting to you, feel free to give it a like or subscribe to the channel, because I mean, you made it this far into the video anyway, and you can always comment down below which reveal you're most excited for. For me, it's the Dwarves, but that Warcry set is a close second. Otherwise, I'll see you all again in another video.